friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky DIY. Today we're making a magic slider card. There's lots of bits and pieces to this card, but I promise you, you can do it. I'm going to break it down step by step. Some of the steps I've already gone ahead and done, but I will also link to a written tutorial with all of the measurements that you can download for free when you join my email list. Anyway, here we go. So for this one, the inks that you're going to need are whatever coloring tool you want. I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends. You need Stays-On or another permanent ink. We're using Memento Tuxedo Black because we are coloring with our blends. Now, we're going to need the Stamparatus or another stamp positioning tool because it's super, super important that your stamped images align. So I've already got from Glad We're Friends, the little dog, and the Glad We're Friends sentiment is what we're going to be using. Now, we're going to start with the designer series paper because this is the outside of our card. I've also got a card base around here somewhere. We have got this one cut at 8 1/4 by 5 1/4, and we've scored it at 4 8 inches. You do need a little tab left over. We have got a piece of white cardstock that's 5 inches by 4 inches and scored at 1/4 inch. Found our card base. My basic white piece is already inside, but you'll need a piece of acetate, which is why we need the Stays-On, and basic white cut to 3 3/4 by 5. You're also going to need a few other little bits and bobs of paper. You can either use cardstock or a combo of cardstock and pattern paper work as well. You're going to need a piece that's 4 inches by 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. This is just to make our stopper for the inside. And you're going to need a circle or another shape as kind of the pull tab so that people know they need to pull. And then some sort of the same punch or shape for the outside of the card so people know that they need to pull it. Anyway, let's get started with our stamping first. So when I'm using my Stamparatus, I do like to position a stamp block underneath so that it keeps it relatively flat and it's easier to get our ink all over. So just a tap, 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 full coverage, and then we're going to simply close. You do want to test this part and make sure that whatever shape you cut or die cut or punch out of your designer series paper is going to be within the visible window. And I'm good here. I should have shown you that part before, but I put the paper down first, positioned the stamps where I wanted it, and then I put my window over top to just make sure that it was going to work. Now, I am going to line up our acetate to exactly the same spot as I did for our basic white piece. So we're going to line that up. Make sure it's straight on all of the sides. Put our magnet in. Then we're going to bring in the Stays-On. This one's important because it dries fast. It's permanent. And it will... you got to take the little plastic bit off first. It's important to keep this plastic piece on. I was wondering why it wasn't inking up. You got to keep the plastic piece on so that it doesn't dry out. Now, it does dry really, really quickly, so you want to make sure that you've got really good coverage and you work quick. Give it a really good smush down. Now, the lovely thing about using a stamp positioning tool or your Stamparatus is if you don't get coverage that you want the first time, all you have to do is re-ink. All right. I am absolutely amazed that worked on the first shot completely the way I wanted it to. We're going to put our stamp away so that it doesn't disappear. I will be cleaning this off with Stays-On stamp cleaner after I'm done my video. We are done with the Stamparatus, so we're going to put that off to the side. And then we're going to build our card. So you can see that this guy is going to line up exactly where you want it to. The other thing that you will want for later is a little clip to keep our ends together once it's lined up. But let's go ahead and build the inside of our card. So we've got our tabs here. We're going to crease them so that they're really good and sharp. And this guy, really, really nice and sharp. Now this is not going to be visible. Well, this side will be visible as you pull out the card. So if you wanted to decorate the inside, you absolutely can. You've got your little piece of designer series paper left over. I'm just going to leave it white though. Let's see if I've got some tear tape close. If not, yeah, no. All right, so we're just going to grab our adhesive and hope that we've got enough to make it last. I would not use liquid glue for this because you want to make sure that there's not going to be any extra adhesive anywhere. And you want to get as close to the edge or to the crease as you can, because this is going to be our slider mechanism. Okay, and then we're just going to close it. Give it a good push down, and then we're going to leave this flap open until we're ready to complete our card, because you never know, you might need a little bit of wiggle room. All right, so let's get to coloring. This guy is going to stay clear. And we're just going to slide our colors, put our colors, I don't know. It's March break. My brain's on vacation. It's all good. So we're just going to give a quick color. I'm using coordinating colors with our designer series paper. I've got Granny Apple Green. I've got browns for the dog. Maybe, I have no idea where that liquid just came from. I think it actually might be some of the blending fluid from the marker. I haven't used these markers in a while. That's really bizarre. It's all good. It gives us the opportunity to add to our card. All right, so add our color. It's hand sanitizer. All right, I was doing another technique earlier and I must have had a little bit left on my desk. It'll dry clear and it won't impede any of what we're doing, which is good. But you know, never fails. There's always something going on in this craft room. Okay, so we've got our fan done up. Now we're going to do our dog. I've got SU 900, which is one of the neutrals, SU 400, and bronze. So we're going to do neutral, the lightest color around his ears and tongue. We're also going to use this color to blend in the rest of our colors that we're using. I'm going to leave the blaze on the front of him white. And I think I'll do his socks. Oh, didn't do a very good job coloring on that one, now did I? All good. I'll fix that up, yeah. We'll do this brown. I watched a few videos on how to do this card. And it's funny, as soon as it clicks how it goes together, it's really, really cool. And I haven't seen many. Most of the ones that I've watched just had it being a pocket card. I haven't seen very many attached to a card base. I like the idea of the pocket card, but it does make it a little bit challenging when you're trying to write your message. Okay, so let's do a little bit of darker at the tip of his ears, a little bit of a different color for his feet. Blends are so much fun to use. I love alcohol markers. All right. Actually, you know, I think we're going to do all of him brown because I'm not really liking how I went over the line there. Oh, the other thing that you're going to need for this too is some sort of mechanism as a stopper. I have actually, a couple of the videos that I saw had dimensionals. I wanted something that laid a little bit more flat, so I'm actually going to use classic matte dots. Okay, so I'm going to lighten this up with our lightest blend. Actually, I'm going to switch to the brush end. And then a little bit there. Blend around his ears a little bit better. Actually, I think his tongue needs to be a little bit more pink. It looked fine, but now it's looking a little bit on the yellow side. When you're working with blends, you do want to make sure that you're storing them flat so that the ink is equally dispersed. All right, so our little guy is done. Now comes the fun part. So you're going to need the clip, and then all we're going to do is line it up so that it is exactly, or as close to exactly as you possibly can get, over top. And then we're just going to clip it so that it doesn't move. This end is going to stay open. This end we're going to close with our circle that we die cut earlier. Just making sure that it's not quite even. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So then we're going to take our circle. There's a little bit of fluff. If you're finding that you're getting some fluff or some stuff sticking to your card, just grab your embossing buddy and it will help. Okay. So now we've got both of our pieces. It'll help get rid of some of the static that's causing things to attach. Okay. So now we've got our card. We're going to open it up and it's going to slip right here. So then when we pull, you want to make sure that it's not too tight so that you can move it. I'm going to have to trim just a tiny bit off. I do like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so. All right, let's try that again. So the top half, oh my gosh, hen's not working today. Okay, there we go. So then when we pull our slider, our dog goes from being a black and white image to color. So I'll put this back. Oh, actually, okay. So we're gonna, before we put it all together, I'll put this guy back in. We're gonna put our white piece onto the back so that, oh, actually, put the white piece on the back so it acts as a stopper. Then we're gonna put our designer series paper piece over top, just to kind of, as it's pulling through, it gives it a little bit more of a visual interest. So we're gonna line this up to the base of our, or to the end edge of our white piece. Sorry, a little bit of thought process involved in this one. You want to make sure that it's roughly even. And then we're just going to flip and do the same thing on this side. And again, put it to the end. Make sure it's even and make sure that the tape isn't going to catch on anything or stop it from being able to slide. Okay, so there we go. And then when you do your tester piece, if it's too tight or it doesn't slide, you can just give it a little bit of a trim. Scissors. And you need just enough to make sure that your stopper mechanism works. It's really that easy. Okay. So then, there we go. I can seal up our card. It's going to pull through. So then we're going to put our adhesive on our tab that we made. And then we're going to fold it over and, oops, make sure everything stays relatively straight. And then we're just going to close it over and run our tab over top. And then when we pull our slider, oops, it's magic. It's perfect. I love it. All right. So then our last little bit for this is, if you want to, just notch out a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Move this guy out of the way. Of the card so that our pull is a little bit more visible. Okay, and then just feed it in. Come on, friend. Of course. I promise, it's really not that hard. My hand just doesn't want to work at the moment. There we go. Okay. A little bit finicky, but it's all good. All right, so there's our card base done. Or I guess not our base, our front. Give it a really good smush again. So then you can just give it a pull. And there's our magic. And then we're just going to simply put it on top of our card base. Grab our adhesive. Now you want to make sure that you're not going to go anywhere near where your pull is, because you want to give enough room for fingers. You could do this on a different color card base if you wanted to. I just happen to have some basic white already done. Oops. A little bit of adhesive on my desk. There we go. All right. And then all we need to do is put our little stop gap in. And then to do that, all we're going to do is, because, you know, had I been thinking, I would have done this part before. We're just going to grab some of the classic matte dots and we're going to put them, whoops, just right. Oh my goodness gracious me. Okay. Where'd you go? There we go. That's better. So we've got it close to the edge. Hopefully you can see that so that when we pull, it doesn't come out all the way. It stops part way. And then I've colored some of our classic matte dots with Granny Apple Green and Bermuda Bay. So we're just going to set those all around. I've done 9 of each. Or not 9 of each, 9 total. And there we go. So there's our magic slider card done. It's a really fairly straightforward thing once you have it down pat. It's really lots of fun to do and to make. And if you wanted to, you could also do a little bit longer of a slider piece so that your magic slider part stays completely attached. So yeah, I would probably add a little bit of adhesive maybe towards the bottom as well. Just to keep it, just to give it a little bit more of an alignment. But it's a lot of fun. My daughter was completely mesmerized and in love with this card when I showed it to her. So I hope you do have a play with it. I can't stop playing with it. Thank you so much for watching as always. And don't forget to sign up for my email subscription so that you can download the PDF tutorial for this as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you soon.